Hello, FART members. My name is Pia Contreras Sanchez. I am a realtor, chair of the MBN, member of the Diversity Committee, and member of the board. I have to memorize and say that because there's so many titles. Anyways, I have the pleasure to introduce you today these two great women, Scarlett Pons and Grisel Alegria. Grisel is graduated from George Mason University with a bachelor's degree in dance. She is also a realtor in North Carolina, serves on the board of MC Kinetic Works Dance Company, trained in ninja selling by Larry Kendall, and volunteers at Cool Kids Clubhouse in Huntersville, North Carolina. Virginia, it's in my heart. Scarlett is an architect who turned potter, graduated from Virginia Tech. She is also an entrepreneur, owner of the art gallery and store The Pons Shop in downtown for the past 12 years, and one of the founders and first presidents of Fredericksburg Main Street.
Yes.
These two beautiful and successful women are my cousins. Our mothers are sisters, and they came to the United States in their 60s. My aunt married a Polish descendant, a tall, blue-eyed, sweet man, and my mom, of course, a short black-haired guy, 100% Chilean. The three of us were born in the U.S., but by coincidence, we all spent most of our youth years living in other countries. My cousins used to live in the Philippines, Morocco, Greece, and England, and myself in Spain, and of course in Chile. So, well, I think that we are a super diverse family culturally. Your husband's parents are from the Philippines. Your
Yes.
dad's,
My father-in-law's from the
your father-
Philippines and my
from
mother-in-law's Welsh.
and your husband is from Guatemala.
Yes, correct.
And my husband is from Chile. So, and I would like to start telling you that growing up in Chile, I never had to answer to, what is your ethnicity and or what is your race. Maybe your origin. And here, that is a very common question. And for us, Gigi, and this is in our industry, this is a loan application. And always at the end, it says to be completed or, information for the government, ethnicity, Hispanic, not Hispanic, race, Asian, white, black, well, sex, of course, now we need to be diverse on that as well. So what do you answer?
It depends how we're feeling. Sometimes I feel white, sometimes I feel Hispanic, sometimes I feel other. This is something that I never know who I am.
Yeah.
or how to, and it's funny because when you're talking about when we lived overseas, it's nothing I ever thought about, because when we were overseas, we were American, period.
Exactly.
It didn't matter if we were Hispanic American, Black American, Asian American, you were just American. And that question it wasn't really a question until I came back here. And it's like you said, we had to start filling out, like for my business, whether I was filling out like a loan application,
Yes.
or, thinking about our kids now, going to college, that's going to be a question. And it's just like my sister said, it just depends what mood I'm in. Sometimes I check white, sometimes I check Hispanic, sometimes I check other.
Yes.
And it's never a clear
answer.
Because I'm half-half. We're half-half. We're half Hispanic, half Caucasian, half white. And there's no...
Yes. And then
Box
what
for that.
about,
There's no box
there's
for
no
that.
box for that, right?
Yes.
And then your children, and what you said earlier, then we are probably half and half, right? Well, I'm almost, 100%, Latina, but what about, your children?
Yeah, so my children are, half Guatemalan. They're
a quarter.
Quarter
and then be a quarter Chilean.
and a quarter Caucasian
Mm-hmm.
or American.
And then my kids
And
are
then you
even so there'd be a quarter Welsh, a quarter what our father is, which is just Eastern European, like Czechoslovakian, and then they'd be a quarter Filipino and a quarter Chilean. So and this is something the kids and I talk about all the time.
You do.
We talk about this all the time with my boys. It's just like the diversity of who they are. And it's interesting, and then I say, well, how do your friends, what do your friends think you are?
Exactly.
And that's what's
a good
interesting too,
question.
is sometimes their friends think they're Asian.
Wow.
Because they have a lot of their father's features.
Exactly.
And that's been a really interesting thing to talk about, that, especially with my older son Diego, is people perceive him as Asian more than Hispanic sometimes.
Yeah.
And so, of course, my daughter has
all of dad's blood.
Light colored hair, gray eyes, light skin, and she speaks in an American accent.
Yes. But she's fluent in Spanish.
But she's fluent in Spanish. So when she speaks Spanish, all her friends are like, "What did you just say to what did you just say to us?" Yes. My son, he's darker skin. He's a little bit browner, brown hair, brown eyes. He looks more Hispanic. He looks more of a mix of somewhere.
Oh, somewhere. Yeah.
So that because my daughter looks American, whatever that definition is to you, she is nothing but.
Yes. Mm-hmm. So it's funny how kids approach those subjects and how we have to face those conversations, right?
Yeah.
Because I'm sure that when there's a family where everybody is the same, they approach the subject in a different way.
In a different way, yep.
And that's where you have, okay, my kid is dealing with somebody else that probably just saying, colors are different.
Yeah. And I think, growing up overseas, Scarlett and I, and being exposed to so many different cultures and countries from a very young age, you realize that, there is a wide diversity. So it was never a problem or something I had to overcome as a child, because I knew from day one there were hundreds of languages that we were exposed to, and different cultures and the way people eat, the way people live, the way people speak, so I think that to this day has still made me an open-minded person, and I hope to funnel those qualities in, to my kids, and I think you feel the same way.
Yeah, that's a really good point, because when you're in a diverse group of people the way we were, and it was like that in our schools too, we went to very diverse schools, so it was never a question of who you are, you were just you, because it was you as a person, in your class, like in our classes, there were Hispanic people, Arab people, French people, like you name it, German people, Italian.
You guys went to international school.
We went to international school,
exactly.
So there was never that question of like race.
Yeah.
There was never that question did not exist, because we were all
What country are you from?
Yeah, it was like, what country are you from?
Exactly,
that was the question.
Yeah,
and what languages do you speak?
And what languages do you speak?
They often spoke, our friends often spoke 3, 4, 5 languages.
Wow. So, this is another question, and probably it's an uncomfortable one, but has anyone ever made you feel uncomfortable due to the color of your skin? That you can think of, like an experience that you feel to share?
Not for a long time, but when we first moved here to Fredericksburg in the early 80s, so like 83, 84, and so I would have been...
That is when you went to middle school?
Yes, and that's when I was in middle school, so I came here at 6th grade, which is already like a very awkward, horrible age, and in our Fredericksburg at the time was not diverse. And our street at the time, and I live on that same street now, was not diverse. And when we moved into that neighborhood, I remember I didn't understand it as a child, I didn't know what it was, but I just felt awkward, and I felt different for the first time.
Oh, wow.
And I remember thinking, there was one incident where I was not feeling comfortable, and then my dad showed up, and my dad's blonde hair, blue-eyed, and then I felt safe.
Wow.
Which, again, it's just, I had that experience, and it's nothing I've digested until like very recently, like during the Black Lives Matter movement, it was making me question, like, well, what have I experienced? It's something I never really thought about, like, have I ever experienced any kind of racism? Being a Spanish person, and that's like the one incident that really like just stands out for me. And I just remember thinking, when my dad showed up and people saw, here in our area, again, this is back in the 80s, and he was blonde hair, blue-eyed. As my neighbor saw him, it made me feel safe.
Wow.
And, I don't quite know how I feel about that as an adult, other than, and the thing that makes me feel kind of better about that situation is watching our community diversify in the last, how many years is that? 30 years.
Right. Yeah,
And we
it's
still
almost
have a
40
long
now.
way to go, but, having a business in downtown Fredericksburg, and I see like how diverse our city has become and how much more welcoming, and having conversations with my other friends that are Hispanic or Black, and even just as little as like 10 years ago, them experiencing racial slurs walking through our downtown, but hearing fewer and fewer and fewer of those stories is,
Yes.
it's very encouraging. And
It's funny what you said, that you probably didn't think about that specific situation for a long time.
yeah,
because
for a long time.
because you were not aware about, discrimination that could happen,
Right.
because you were
We
in
were
the
not
same,
aware.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yes, right. And for me, until recently, I was not aware that could happen to me as well, because I never, and I think that's what we have in common. We never experienced that before growing up.
Right.
We were not exposed to that. We didn't talk about that in our family. It was not the subject at the table, right?
Yeah, no, not at all.
And before I share my experience, what about you, Yi? For me, if I see you, if I don't know you, if I see you from far, I would say, oh, Yi la gringa. Your complicity, you're lighter than me. You're here, you're taller. Right?
Yeah,
So,
yes. Soy una gringa. I haven't experienced that kind of discrimination or racism directly, but I hear a lot of ignorance when it comes to culture and race. I hear a lot of stereotype within my friend circle.
Which is interesting because people probably don't realize you're Spanish.
They
It's
don't
like
know
they
I'm
will say,
Spanish.
yeah.
They don't know I speak Spanish
Right.
oftentimes, and so I hear
And then your
those.
last name is just Alegría.
Alegría, yes.
It's not Suhi Alegría or
Yeah. Well, my middle name is Sui, but
Okay.
we don't really use the middle name here.
Okay.
Like, so I haven't experienced that directly, but I do. Moving down to North Carolina from the Northern Virginia area, it's definitely different in terms of diversity. In Northern Virginia, in the DC area, you hear languages, there's the embassies, there's the White House, there's a lot of culture, a lot of transient people, and so that brings
different smells.
Yeah, different smells. In North Carolina, where we are, it's not as diverse, and so you do hear that ignorance when it comes to culture and food and language. And so that is something that I feel responsible for. I feel a sense of responsibility to not only educate the people around me, but to also let them know that, I know I look like a gringa, but, this is wait till you see my daughter,
Yeah.
So try to help people erase their judgments, erase what a Latina looks like, or what an Asian look like, or what does a Filipino young boy look like, because there's no
Single-
there's no checkbox.
Yeah.
There's no single definition of that.
Sometimes I tell my daughter when she wants to talk to me in Spanish about something that she doesn't want anybody else
To know,
to
yeah.
know. I say, be careful. You never know.
You never know.
Who speaks
Spanish. Don't judge them by their
by their looks.
their
exactly.
looks. So yes, well, you see, so it's different for everybody. It's different for myself that I had to experience the language barrier. So it was not only the color of my skin, but people didn't believe that I had a college education, or and this story I've talked about this before. So how did you get to this country? Well, I was born here. So I came back.
Yes,
So But the awareness is something that probably is something that had hit me, terribly. When we first came here, we were looking for an apartment with my husband, and we wanted to just stay in downtown, and then we went to, inquired about space, when it's going to be available. They said automatically no, nothing available. They didn't say, we're going to have some vacancy, or come back this day.
It was just a straight no.
They
Hard
didn't
no.
take my phone number or my information, contact. I had to ask for it. So I was like, okay, the office is busy. I found myself that I'm always justifying, it's just so hard to to believe that
Yes.
you can be,
Just acknowledge that is what's happening.
right? Isn't that, my daughter, say, Mom, you have no white Americans clients. All your clients are Hispanics. So I'm grateful, but that those things, or one time I had a situation in this business where we are trying to, and we have the oath of, treat everybody equal, and there's a equal housing opportunity and equal, lenders opportunity, and we talk about it over and over and over again, and then last year somebody tells me, oh, your clients, we're going to treat them different on a title company. And I was like, well, if you're going to apply that rule to all your clients, I'm fine with it.
Right.
Yeah.
But if it's going to be only my clients, I'm going to go somewhere else and see if they want my business.
Right.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah,
After, I don't know, it was a great year, 40 transactions or whatever the number was, I was like, how can you do that? And then I was not, when I first received the imposed rule, right? I called one of the members of the committee, and I was like, this is what just happened to me, and I wanted to believe that it was, okay, it's a business decision. Okay, I'll deal with it, right? And then she said to me, "Girl, you has been discriminated. Welcome to the club." And I was like, you are right.
Wow.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But it's so hard to, it's so hard to believe.
Yes.
And this, reminds me of all the investigation that it was for 3 years in Long Island, when you saw, people that were discriminated, and they were talking to agents, and they were treated differently.
It was like a sting operation, and they'd set
Yes.
up. Wow.
With hidden cameras and
just to document how people were being
Like
treated.
what was really happening.
What
Yeah.
was really happening.
and the thing that, we were many agents there, and you could cry because, it got so emotional. People were, after they saw the result, they were like, but that agent, that lady was so nice to me. I couldn't believe that, she was discriminating me because of the color of my skin. She was so nice to me. So this is why after knowing that situation and that report, I called this, my friend, and I was like, I can't believe it, but can you tell me, what just happened is discrimination or not?
Yes.
So it's crazy. So we're here to make a difference, in our
Yes.
and share our experiences
Absolutely.
and educate. I think that with education is the base of everything.
Yes, education's a huge part of it. And I think showing up for the conversation, and I think showing up in our industries speaks so loudly. I was thinking about this fairly recently, and every couple years I have a mantra for the store. And my mantra for the last couple years has been, downtown Fredericksburg is more diverse than we think it is. And I've been just as often as I can say that, and I'm like, look at my block, just the businesses around me is, my business, we're we're Hispanic Filipino business. Next to me is a Chinese American business. A couple doors down is a Croatian American business. Across the street is African American business. And I was like, that's just my block. And the fact that we've all have shown up, opened up businesses, and
be successful.
At and diversify the city has made our city feel like safe.
Yes.
Safer than what it used to feel like 20 years ago. It feels inclusive, it feels welcoming, that anybody could come downtown and walk into a business and be able to connect with a business owner, no matter what your nationality is, no matter what your skin color, whether you're LGBTQ, you can, and that I feel like has helped revitalize our downtown. And when we first moved here, our downtown was at a lull. We had, I think somebody had counted 16 years ago, somebody had counted, one of the local business owners counted 25 empty storefronts downtown.
Yeah.
And now, you know, you're lucky to find one. And you look at the people who have moved in and opened up businesses, and it's a really diverse group of people. And our city has recognized that, and actually our city has started a diversity initiative, which is they've, you know, intentionally have gone out to interview, you know, diverse businesses at all levels, when, you know, again, not just nationality, but you know, women-owned businesses, LGBTQ-owned businesses, like that whole definition. And you know, and you hope that makes a difference. I mean, I've had instances when I first moved to downtown, when I was trying to apply for different things or trying to volunteer for different, like I look great on paper, like I was a professional architect, I have a you know, I look really good on paper, and I would not be welcomed into different associations, and I didn't know if it was because I was a woman or if I was because I was Hispanic. And I would have to really, and this was, you know, this again was about 12, 15 years ago, and I would have to really make an effort to, you know, and I would see other people they would pick, and I'm like, there's no reason why I should not be picked for this, you know, because I have just as much knowledge and experience, if not more, than some of these people. So that's always been a question. So, like, why? Is it because I'm a woman, but there'd be other women on the, so it couldn't have been that, now that I think about it, because there were other, and then you don't know, and I always, sometimes I ask my girlfriends, it's like, I don't know how people perceive me.
Right.
I don't, you know, I don't have a Spanish accent, you know, and I don't know how people perceive me. Not that that's ever really bothered me, but it's always just like a question. And sometimes I ask people randomly in the store, because people look at me and I can tell they're trying to figure out. And so I'll ask people, like, what do you think my nationality is? And it is, I've gotten everything from Indian from India, right? Native American. I've gotten Asian before. Somebody thought I was Chinese.
That person was lost.
Puerto Rican, I think only one person have ever said Chilean, and that's because they spent time in Chile. And so they're like, you're Chilean. I was like, you're the first person ever. But I'm just, again, like, just that gamut of, you know, that perception is. So it's just like, you know, can't do anything about that. That's, you know.
One time somebody thought that Javier, my husband, was from India. He has a very dark skin.
That's
funny.
it.
Yes.
That's it. But it is
you said one word, intention.
We
have to be intentional.
Yes.
We have to, you know, in this business, we have to, you have to show, you know, what Fredericksburg has become. Right?
Yes.
As you have to show that it's diverse. You have to show in social media. You have to show images. Because images, you know, talks more than 1,000 words. So that's our campaign here, and it's hard. It's hard to, you know, it's interesting. You wanted to participate in those associations and be, you know, give your talent, give your knowledge, and we're not chosen. And here we're trying to get people to come and work with us. But they don't feel represented. They don't feel, you know, I don't know how your association, well, you know, you're in an area that it's probably very, very even the look of the people and the.
In terms of diverse, yeah, I think it depends where you're speaking. I mean,
Yes.
Charlotte obviously is a little bit more diverse. It is somewhat transient, somewhat. Nothing like the DC or Northern Virginia or Virginia. The town that we live in is not diverse, really at all. I know all the families who speak Spanish. There's probably 10. We know them all.
Okay.
No, that's an exaggeration, but yeah. So yeah, how can I get Fredericksburg? How can I get Davidson to a place where that Fredericksburg is right now? You know, what is going to change that those dynamics? What is going to increase culture and diversity?
I mean, as Scarlett said, you know, from 12 years it
Yes.
took you.
Yes, it's
And I
about
think-
it's a lot.
10 to
It's-
20 years.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think what's
long
interesting
process.
too is, you know, in a place like where you are too, that's really growing.
Yeah, it's
you know,
growing.
it's growing the
quickly.
way Fredericksburg has grown. Is I think the diversity is there. It's just finding a way to pull
Yes.
people out.
It is there.
And that's what I feel like our downtown has done. It is, you know, there are a lot of nationalities here. There are a lot of people that have moved here from Northern Virginia, but there's no place to showcase that. There's no place to welcome
Yeah.
diversity. And that's why I feel like downtowns play such an important role for that, is like pulling those people out, like, you know, and I think you could do that. It doesn't have to be a downtown. I think you can do that in your personal business. I think when you develop that kind of reputation of just being a welcoming person, you know, you can start to kind of
Yeah.
pull people out of their home that way.
Just keep exploring and keep an open mind. You know, we're all people. It doesn't matter where you're from. We all love our families. We all love our children. We all love our husbands, our partners, our community. We all eat the same way. You know, we all have a beating heart. So just keep that open mind. You know, and opportunities will arise from that open-mindedness. So that would be my advice.
I would say that a healthy community is a diverse community. If you don't have a diverse community, you don't have a healthy community. You can see examples of that in our downtown. We have a diverse community now, and we have a strong, healthy downtown. We survived COVID with, I think, only in the downtown, 1 or 2 businesses that closed because of COVID. And the rest of us managed to stay open, and I attribute that to our diversity.
Well, for me, I just want to tell my fellow FART members that diversity is really the key of success. You learn from different cultures. You learn from different people with different abilities, knowledge. We're all here to work, to put food on our table, and be a good example for our kids, for our community, and you know, just give everybody an opportunity. You know, give when we're talking about, you know, a contract presented, just don't look at the name or the name of the agent. You know, just focus on what is important, and what is not important is the color or your shape or. That's my message. Well, guys, we could talk about
We can
this
talk
for
for
hours.
and days, and it will be a nonstop conversation. And I just want to thank you both for making the time.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
And we are not only, you know, business women, we are moms, and we cook and we clean and we
Yes.
do it all. So this time that you are giving us is precious, and I thank you very much. I'm very proud of my 2 cousins.
Yay!
And thank you guys. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for